5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 641 of the DrunNerds Podcast. I'm your host, as always. I'm Tyler, and I am Xbox. And joining me, we have the
I'm
man,
here.
the myth, the legend
Let's just
himself,
say,
Sir Colonel Gables.
well, due to popular belief, no, I am not an Xbox. But at the same point,
are you an Xbox?
I get what you're doing. I get what you're saying. But oh man, I'm doing fine, dude. This past week has been sort of like it's been sort of a mix between okay, there are some things I have gotten done and stuff, but yet I have devoted quite a bit of time playing another type of game, and it's one that both you and I are involved in, and that is the whole fantasy football stuff. No. I've pretty much given up with the fantasy critics stuff because I know you're going to be fucking beating me at the end of the year, dude. But yeah, I still got 2 more games coming out and stuff, but essentially I think it's Soccer 2,
you
and I
got
think
2 more games
there's,
coming.
well, and oh yeah, Anton Blast, I forgot. Yeah, those 2 games, quintessentially. But oh my gosh, I had such a fun time during this past week, like just doing all the random like shit for the fantasy football stuff. Because what's hilarious about that is our trade deadline is like this week, and it's it's pretty much like you can pretty much do trade. I checked it out, and you can still do trades until like before the end, I think, of the final game of week 11. So yeah, I had to double check that because I was just kind of freaking out. I was like, okay, I have to wait, and I got to do this before Thursday's games. And so I thought about that, and I read it. I'm like, okay, I could still basically just watch the entire week of like week 11, barring the Monday night game and stuff, and maybe do whatever and stuff. So what's kind of hilarious about that is I kind of treat like the whole fantasy football stuff as sort of like how I would try to strategize in sort of like an RPG in some aspects.
Yeah.
To where it's
colluding.
What's that?
You colluding with people?
Well, due to popular belief, no, I'm not colluding. But at the same point, I can understand why you would feel that way.
I don't know. I mean, I got a couple weeks ago, Gables in our crooked commish floppy fish, right before minutes before the kickoff when I'm about to go against Gables, they make a big trade, multiple players, right for just to try to take me down. I was first, Gables was second, and still destroy him. You know, everybody against me, everybody going against me. I got, there's some possible point scheming going on, some point stealing out there. There's a lot of words, a lot of discussion out there. I've seen lots of stuff going on in Philadelphia, and I'm just wondering, and I'm like, man, these points are adding up here. Feels like Gables is maybe getting a few more points than he's supposed to be getting. I don't know, like, who's to say? A lot of people have been saying that, and also, but still, despite everything, I still won.
You still won that match, but like by a few points. It wasn't like an absolute obliteration.
Yeah,
I think it was like
if it
difference of like 3
points. If you take away the stolen points you had, it was a complete destruction.
But to let everyone know it's stuff for the fantasy football stuff, the trade that he's referring to is I traded C.J. Stroud, Derrick Henry, and Mark Andrews to him for like it was Jordan Love, Marvin Harrison Jr., and like freaking like Rico Dowdle. So basically, I know Fish got the better portion of that deal because I gave away the best player of that initial trade, which was Derrick Henry.
The MVP.
But that was a catalyst because I needed some extra wide receiver help because Chris Godwin, the number 1 receiver I had, basically fell with an ACL tear.
Godwin?
So
no, he dislocated his ankle.
Dislocated his ankle?
Yeah, Godwin, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, but still, he's down for the rest of the year. And so kind of scrambled that. So it's kind of funny, and it kind of like kind of stirred the pot a little bit this past week, is I made a couple of trades too after that initial trade, which was this past, what was it, Wednesday night and a Thursday and stuff. I did 2 separate trades. I was talking with like Grantley, I think his name is Lord Grantley or something like that. It's like, hey, do you want to trade either this player or something like that, or like Darnell Mooney or blah 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 and so on and so forth. It's like, and he asked me straight up, okay, Dowdle for Moody, like Mooney. It's like, okay, So basically, I let him. I just still okay. Just give me a moment here and stuff. And so as I'm doing that, I go through and I started like talking a little bit with Mike here. Right? It's like okay,
Colluding.
here's no. This is what I did. I basically offered him here. I'm gonna give you Kincaid and what was it, Quentin Johnson stuff for the Tyrone Tracy. And it's like, oh, he's like, okay, I'll take that. And so as soon as that trade goes through, I have the running back that I need that is definitely an upgrade over Dowdle. And I go and I trade Dowdle for Darnell Mooney, who's basically a top 10 wide receiver right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got some upgrades on both of those sides, but when it comes to a lot of the strategizing stuff, I've just been this past week has been sort of funny. It's kind of like when I get with certain games where it's like I invest a lot of time and a lot of effort because I'm really interested in seeing like the whole stat stuff and the
Mm.
whole like that sort of like possibilities and this and that. Like in our league right now, I have pretty much the number 5 running back in the leaderboards here on the auction block. I'm having it open. I have received one offer, but I'm not sure if I'm going to take that yet. But the time frame is it's going to be before the end of the last game of week 11. So
Monday night.
I'm not sure. I'm waiting for the games tomorrow on Sunday and see if there's going to be some other options are because I could potentially just say no, I'm going to keep them.
Didn't Mooney go on IR?
No,
Oh,
Mooney didn't go on
I thought he
IR.
was
There
out.
were some issues in terms of like Achilles something, but
Okay.
he was healthy enough to actually go and play, but he's not out for the year.
Remember when Christian McCaffrey was a game time decision on week 1 and then was out for
Yep.
3 months with Achilles issues?
Yep, I remember that. I remember that time quite well because going into that season, I knew that there was something going on with McCaffrey. So, you know what? I know Jordan Mason's going to be good with this. So he was the very last pick in our draft, and so it's like for our draft, I basically and bear with me, guys. We're getting to gaming stuff here and
There's
stuff.
time
The one
codes.
final thing the first, but what I'm saying is I played the draft absolutely like I wanted to do. So it's like I drafted Jameer Gibbs, Derrick Henry, and David Montgomery, 1, 2, 3, Stroud at 4, and then it's like I got Kincaid at 5. I forget who I got at 6. I think it was Jaden Reed. And then all of a sudden, it's like I drafted TJ Hawkinson and stuff for like 7. I basically got I basically drafted a high enough tight end and stuff and stashed away one until like around the time Hawkinson came back, and now I'm using Hawkinson as like a tight end 1
Mm.
in terms of that stuff. But yeah, in comparison to certain like game stuff, it's kind of like how I would play like a Fire Emblem game, right? To where I'm on the field and stuff. I have different units and stuff. Okay, if I can go through and have these two combined to take down this unit over here and stuff, and then all of a sudden I have my healer right around here, I can do this, like use my fighter and stuff to take down one on some attack points and have my mage go through and attack and do it this way. And then once, the end result's done, I could just heal both of them and stuff. Kind of similar aspects that I'm taking in terms of this. Because now it's like my health at this moment in time for my fantasy things. I've lost 4 games in a row. And I know for a fact it's like I want to get into the playoffs. I know the top 6 get into the playoffs. I'm 6-4. I know you're 9-1.
10
You
and
got
0.
edged out by Josh,
10 and 0.
like a Yoshi Fett and stuff like that
Yep.
through that.
Never
And quite
lost.
honestly, you say that, but I know for a fact it's like wide receivers are a sought after resource inside of this year because of how many of them are going down, and running back is plentiful currently. Maybe not so much inside of the pickups of like the whole waiver wire stuff, but I'm just saying is like, yeah, is the grand scheme of things, there hasn't been as many running back injuries has there been, you know.
Yeah.
So cross your fingers that Josh Jacobs doesn't go down, or that if like whomever, or Aaron Jones or whomever, it's like uh, but at the end of the day, though, thank you for bearing with us, listeners.
Yeah.
This is the Drunk-Nerds Podcast. We are definitely going to be talking about some video
Yeah.
games.
I like Gables is comparing like he's playing Fire Emblem. Gable's over here playing Codename Steam. All right, come on, 4 games in a row. Come on.
Well, it's definitely better than. Oh God. Well, I had to think about it for a time, but at the same time, I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do what we
Yeah.
do.
Anyways, believe it or not, this is a video game podcast where Gables and I get together every week and talk about video games, everything we love and hate about them, everything in between. If you guys like the show, like what we're doing, please like, follow, subscribe. Check us out. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcast, Spotify, any podcast service out there. We are most likely on it. Please, if you want to help us out, we don't ask for money. We don't ask for anything like that. We just ask for a few clicks of the button and some of your time. So if you want to like us, subscribe to us, 5-star, follow, whatever it is that you do on any platform that you are interacting with us on, please do that there. Share with your friends. Send the links to your friends. Really help us out. We've been doing this for over 11 years. We don't make money off this. We just do it because it's fun. We have full-time jobs, and we just like, like I said, we like video games. We like talking about them. So if you can help us out, we really would appreciate it. But yeah, let's jump into kind of like not really a lot of news this week, Gables. Kind of really only a couple things here. It did come out. Jeff Keighley did announce, I think on Thursday night, that this past Thursday, that on Monday. This is coming out Sunday, so if you're watching this as the day it comes out, the next day. But all the nominees for the Game Awards this year are being announced Monday morning, I believe. So yeah, we don't really know all the categories. Like sometimes he tweaks them around. He takes out some, adds some new ones, changes kind of the description of what they're supposed to be. So we don't really know what they're going to be. But so we're not going to go through like each individual one, but I feel like, but I think we can go through the what we think will be. Every year there's always 6 nominees for Game of the Year, and I figure let's try to predict it. Last year we got 5 of 6 right, so I think we can do it again this year. I don't know if we can get all 6 because this has been like quietly like I know like there doesn't feel like there's been like we don't have like that the God of War versus Red Dead Redemption, or like Elden Ring versus God of War again, or like there's no Breath of the Wild versus Mario, whatever. They're like there's no like usually most years there's like usually 2 or 3 major games that come out that like kind of create like okay, like we know it's gonna be one of these 2 and like the rest are just kind of happy to be there type of thing. It's kind of like last year we had Baldur's Gate 3 versus Tears of the Kingdom. Like okay, those are the surefire. I feel like this has been a very very good year. We just don't have like those 2 big. We don't have the 2 like standouts. I feel like this has been a great year. It's almost like I look back like almost like 2019, 2021, where like there are really really great games coming out, but they're like smaller, like more I don't want to say niche like genres, but like they're not the big third person behind the back games. They're not the big like it's not the next Zelda game. It's not the next big franchise, the next AAA version of that game. It's been a lot of like like a lot of really great games are coming out, but like none of those like big marquee games that we are used to seeing that kind of like go beyond like like the hardcore gamers. So I have a list here of kind of what I think is in the realm of possibilities.
Okay.
So I wrote down, you are free obviously to disagree. This is kind of what I've had here. I have 4 for sure's. These are like the 4 of the 6 I think will be there. In no particular order: Balatro, Metaphor ReFantazio, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Astrobot.
Okay, so those are your 4. They're Balatro, Metaphor,
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Astrobot.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Astrobot.
Correct.
Okay, those are strong cases for being inside of the Game of the Year the Game of the Year stuff. I would definitely add on to that to where I feel like that there are some games that were incredibly popular that could potentially be inside of the running for Game of the Year, even if like some people may disagree in terms about that. I'm talking about games like Black Myth Wukong come to mind, even though I know how some people feel about it. The game still is an excellent game, especially from what I have initially played of it so far. I haven't played a lot of it, so I can't really verify a lot of like my true feelings. But in terms of the game itself, it's sold a lot. It definitely has had like a bunch of different like people playing it at the same time and stuff on Steam and stuff, but in concurrence and stuff. But as far as like any other types of like Game of the Year stuff is concerned, I mean, we're thinking about oh god, The ones that you just mentioned are definitely for sure. Because I know I've played a bit of Balatro and stuff. I haven't played a bit of Metaphor Reinfantasio, even though I do have a copy of it right on my counter right here.
So do I.
How is it that both of us have the same copy of the same game on our fucking desks at the
Gables,
same time?
For fun, let's also show our in-box versions of our Nintendo Alarmos. Do you not? Where's your Alarmo must be on your nightstand. That's why you don't have it here.
Oh, you know what? When I think about it, there is another game that I could think of. Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah, so that is one of the ones on my short list here. So, cause that's what I mean. Like, I hear a lot of the Wukong as well. I hear a lot of like the thing is like, those ones are like the top four for sure. And like like there's always like the one indie game that makes it into the six. That's I figure Balatro was the one there.
Yeah.
So like the rest of the games like this year are like I said, like these are like I feel like those top four are I feel like one of those four is probably gonna be the game of the year winner. Mm-hmm. There's one other one I think could be there as well. But like the rest of them are like not I don't want to say flawed, but there's definitely a lot more like split. Like there's not like those like there was a lot of people out there that when reviews came out or like a lot of people just they thought it was fine or some people didn't like it at all. Some people are like this is like gonna be their game of the year. So it's like definitely like a lot more like those ones have a lot more variant to them. And I feel like a lot of these are gonna split each other up a little bit. And like so I don't that's why like the rest of these I kind of have here as a wild card here. So no particular order again. I just kind of wrote some down here. Helldivers 2, Prince of Persia Lost Crown.
Okay.
That's Lost Crown is the other one where I think is a dark horse for game of the year. That's probably like but it's one of those things. Also, you got to remember too, though, time wise is like when these come out, sometimes sometimes those games at the beginning of the year kind of lose some luster and they kind of get forgotten. When you play 20, 25 other big games that come out that year, and also time goes by, you kind of forget about them. So I'm gonna start over. Helldivers 2, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, Persona 3 Reload, Silent Hill 2, Dragon's Dogma, Tekken 8, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Animal Well, and then Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. And Jeff Keighley did point out that expansions and DLC are eligible for all categories. So Shadow of the Erdtree is eligible for Game of the Year.
Okay, well that's good to know about that one. But yeah, it seems like every game that you've listed so far are definitely solid, like contenders. They definitely are solid contenders at a first glance and stuff like that. I'm not too sure if, like, say, because of what we have listed here, that say like a Helldivers 2 or Prince of Persia for like Lost Crown, or even for example like oh god, what was no, I'm doing it again. I'm spacing like one of the other ones I was thinking.
I'm sending you the list.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, probably not. Tekken 8. Tekken 8 was probably going to be fighting game of the year.
Yeah.
That's definitely kind of a given to me because that game is fantastic.
Unless Sifu wins again.
God, what a travesty. What a joke that was. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like how you labeled Erdtree. Oh, look at that. Yeah. And let's see. So, yeah, if I had to really think about it, I mean, you're not going to have two Atlas games complete for Game of the Year at the same time. So Persona 3 Reload is a fantastic game, but it's not going to be there. It's going to be Metaphor.
Yeah,
in terms
I feel like it's
being
just
like Game of the Year.
Seems like Metaphor just completely outshine Persona 3.
Exactly. I would actually think that nomination for Animal Well and Silent Hill 2 remake and even Erdtree would I think that those three have the strongest chances of being inside of the category of Game of the Year in some aspects. I mean, Animal Well is pretty much a well thought out like sort of Metroidvania style of game. And I know it was from Donkey in terms of his development, like from his team and stuff, and that initially created this game, and they actually created such a fantastic game in this retrospect. I know from the time I've played with Silent Hill 2 remake and stuff, it's a faithful adaptation of that original release on the PS2, barring, there are some visual changes. There are certain aspects that are changed that I know that some longtime fans may not agree with and stuff. But at the same time, when it comes to the actual game itself, it does a fantastic job with its atmosphere alongside of its various stuff to where I could definitely see this game being a participant inside of Game of the Year stuff. I don't see it winning Game of the Year stuff, but yeah, those were pretty much the three I could think of. And obviously, I thought about Stellar Blade for a moment there, but yet at the same time, you have like other games like say Silent Hill 2, obviously like Balatro, Metaphor, and there are definitely games. If there's like a list of say 5 games for Game of the Year or something like that, I don't think it makes it into the top 5 for this year.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I look at like, I mean, Stellar Blade's gonna be in my top 10 most likely. I love that game, but yeah, I don't think it's like it's not Game of the Year. It's not even in like the discussion for Game of the Year for me. And like I think that game is really really good. I mean, the story, other than like the story is kind of is pretty bad. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. It's just yeah. This year it just seems like there is just like like a big stack of games that are just kind of jumbled together. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games here. Outside of the four for sure that we have, like, and I feel like I cut off a few other, probably 3 or 4 other ones that probably could have been in this discussion. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it like I think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has it has a decent shot of coming in going in there. Um, but it's definitely like I said, some of these is like I said, it's the beginning of the year comes out. Um, but like Tekken 8 is like it's kind of like Street Fighter 6 of last year, like where it was one of the highest. It's like I take Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 are like both like one of the highest reviewed games of the year as far as review score goes. But it's one of those things where it's just like you also got to think about mass appeal here of like who played. It's at a certain point it becomes a popularity vote of like how many people actually played this game. And like fighting games are a smaller genre of type of games. Same thing with like Animal Wells on top of that as well. But I feel like there's only probably going to be the one um, indie game that makes it in. And I feel like Balatro is that one. I think you touched on it pretty well with Persona 3 versus Metaphor. One's going to make it. It's obviously going to be Metaphor. Seems like Metaphor is definitely like the bigger game. Persona 3 is a remake of a game, and then Metaphor is a bigger game, and also it's came out just a few weeks ago. So I feel like Shadow of the Erdtree's got a really really good shot, honestly. But
I think Erdtree is going to be inside the running for Game of the Year.
Do you think it'll be a nominee?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I think a lot of people will put it in there, but I can also see the argument. That's the problem. You can argue against yourself all day, but I can see the argument of like people are gonna just look at it as an expansion, and they're not gonna like consider it even for Game of the Year. So I feel like that continues.
Yeah, the stigma of being an expansion is going to play into a role with some people, even though that same expansion is pretty much its own separate game.
Could have been Elden Ring 2 essentially, really. It's hard. I mean, it's hard. I think it's fairly difficult. Even there's been like great expansions I played, and it's just like it's kind of hard to put an expansion over like a brand new like full fledged. Obviously I know Shadow of the Erdtree is like a 40-hour game itself, but I can understand the argument people might make in their head. Kind of like look at the rest here. I think Prince of Persia: Lost Crown I would probably put like if I had to like make my personal prediction, I would put Lost Crown in that argument in that discussion, for like for one of those spots. And trying to look at, so I'm looking at these other three here: Dragon's Dogma 2, Silent Hill 2, Helldivers 2. I think I feel like there's enough people that just did not like Dragon's Dogma 2 because that game is very, very, very hard to get into. Like you hear a lot of people talk about, it's like that game. It does like there's like no like it does not hold your hand whatsoever. It is very much. It feels a lot of people talk about it's kind of very hardcore. Like they don't. There's like like there's not a lot of fast travel. I think you got to pay for fast travel. That was the whole people are mad about that or something like that. If I remember correctly. Like there's no like markers to like find side quests. Like it's all just you got to explore and you got to find everything yourself. So I think that's out of the running because just like it can turn a lot of people off, and that's honestly a big part of the reason why I didn't play is just because like that's not something I want in a game. And I'm not saying that I don't mean that's a bad thing to people that did like it. That's just not what I wanted. I'm looking for like the last spot for me. I'm between Silent Hill 2 and Helldivers 2. I feel like Helldivers 2 is probably the one like if you were to ask most people, like the game that probably was like maybe that had the biggest spike of the year, was probably Helldivers 2. Like that game was like went past, like that game was like everywhere. That was like, I mean, that was blew up on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Like I posted a bunch of YouTube Shorts of like on our channel here of like clips I did of playing the game, and like there's some of the biggest views the channel, like our channel's ever gotten. Like that, this shit blew up. You can see it on TikTok, on everything like that, Instagram Short, Instagram Reels, whatever you want to call them. Like I think that has a good chance, but it's also a thing where like, I mean, it's been a long time. That was like February. Um,
It's cooled down quite a bit since then.
yeah, I mean, it's still good. It's still got a lot of people playing it. They're still doing updates to it. So like, there's still a dedicated fan base. But yeah, like, it's definitely one of those things where like, is it like one of those things where like I don't know, like the peak of it. Um, so I think
That's where I kind of felt the argument, like say for Black Myth Wukong, comes into play, because there's a consistent amount of people that have been playing it ever since launch and stuff, and even up on that metric and stuff like that, that would be considered to be part of like a listing for Game of the Year. But I kind of feel like that it's not going to be on the list for the Game Awards Game of the Year stuff, and it's because of how much crowded is with all the other games that are initially on this list.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
And I think a lot of people will
yeah.
put Shadow of the Earth Tree above Wukong.
I think that there are some people that would do that, especially since like how in depth in terms of like how Shadow of the Earth Tree is in terms of not just with the crazy ass bosses and stuff like that, but yeah, I kind of feel like that given the two, Earth Tree is probably going to be on the Game of the Year list before Wukong,
Yeah.
and that's probably because of like personal choices.
Yeah, and I feel like when Wukong first came out, like that game, there was a lot of bugs and stuff like that. Like that was a big part of like they since patched it, but like especially the PlayStation version like had a lot of bugs and issues after like the first couple chapters. So I know that kind of served a lot of people away, and then I think some people were pretty upset like when they found out it was like more of a boss rush game than it was. Like I think people were anticipating more of like a kind of something closer to like a Souls like game, and it's more of like a closer to like a Stellar Blade, and
It's
that's
actually more like an old school sort of action game, more of less, because even though there are aspects and there are some inspirations to like some Dark Souls stuff, it's not like a straight on like Dark Souls game. It's more like a straight action game. Maybe not to the extent of like a Stellar Blade or a Devil May Cry, mind you, but it's more kind of like a fast, not like a faster version of God of War. That's not the right comparison. I mean, it's definitely a fun ass game in terms of when you're like going to different type of boss battles here and there and stuff. But just trying to think of like comparisons of what other games, for it. I mean, obviously there are fast-paced actions that can be compared to say like a God of War, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting set piece moments so far that what I've encountered.
yeah.
But yeah,
All right, well, all right. So we got 4 spots. Like I said, we got Bellagio, Metaphor,
yeah,
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Astrobot. I feel like we are kind of in the consensus of like we got 3 games here for 2 spots. Um, Silent Hill 2, Shadow of the Earth Tree, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Um, what would be the 2 that you'd pick?
it's probably Silent Hill 2 and Shadow of the Earth Tree. I would even consider Prince of Persia: Lost Crown even in the Game of the Year category.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't, only because if I had that option alongside of like with Metaphor, with Balatro, with like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and stuff like that, I mean, no, there's no really much room or some for Lost Crown.
Okay. Because I mean, I think Lost Crown is like the second or third highest rated game of the year. So,
That's true.
and I know
That is
that's
true.
one it does help. They put out DLC recently, so that will kind of help. But that will help uh, put that back into like front of people's minds. And obviously, there's
Right.
been the news stories of like they shut the team down. They're making a oh fuck, what was the game? A Rayman game instead is the next game apparently that they're working on. So I think I would go. Um, I'd probably go if I had a pick. I would go Lost Crown. Oh, honestly, I'm arguing to bring Infinite Wealth back into this discussion. Honestly, I think oh man, I don't know.
It's okay. Just say what you feel in
Yeah,
terms of like what
yeah,
you feel for Game of the
because
Year. So
I think I mean the problem is like I haven't I played the majority of these games and I beat a decent chunk of them. Actually, I don't know if I beat about half of these games, maybe a little. Actually, yeah, okay, yeah, I probably beat about half of these games, and played a few others, but I would say Lost Crown was in the 5th spot. Man, this is hard because I'm just having you can like I said like I think Shadow of the Erdtree would if Shadow of the Erdtree was like Elden Ring 2, it would definitely be in here. But I feel like like I said earlier, there's enough people in there that like maybe aren't even considering wasn't even considering Shadow of the Erdtree when they put together their list because they was like, oh, it's an expansion. They want like brand new games. So I think for that, I'm gonna say Silent Hill 2 for that last spot. But yeah, I think man, I would not be shocked honestly if Erdtree or Infinite Wealth are in that list though.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying Erdtree and Silent Hill 2 for your spots?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put these in here, and then we'll come back to these next week when we do our when we look back at them. All right. So just to clarify, you just want to double check here. You said Silent Hill 2, Shadow of the Erdtree, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm just copying and pasting. Bear with me, people, for a second as I do this. There we go.
Yeah, watch one of the selections is going to be something completely out of left field.
Yeah, I mean, like it's been it's a pretty deep year this year, so I would not be shocked if like one of the games I have on this list here did not actually make it. So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll find out in a couple days on that. But yeah, so final predictions here for Gables. He is predicting Balatro, Metaphor, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Astrobot, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Silent Hill 2. I am predicting Balatro, Metaphor, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Astrobot, Silent Hill 2, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So, all right. So yeah, we'll talk about those next week. I think next week probably the plan is we'll go through and we'll make our overall we'll have the nominees on Monday, and then next week's show will probably just be us predicting the winners for each category.
Okay.
But all right, let's move on here to kind of really only other topic for the week. So Phil Spencer did some interviews this week. We've also found out that everybody's an Xbox. I feel like honestly they should have just got Kel from Good Burger and just did the I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, and we're all dudes. Hey, but like found a way to work that into Xbox. That would have been honestly next time call me Xbox because I have ideas. Or like just come with me with your ideas and I'll just tweak them to find a way to either add Space Jam or Good Burger into your idea. We just gotta get we really gotta get Keen Kel out there more often. I feel like they're not doing enough. But anyways, yeah. So Phil Spencer did some interviews this week, and he was talking about he was asked a question about like the idea of like a Xbox handheld. He kind of talked about like it's not confirming necessarily that one is happening. But he did say though like there's been some rumors and reports that Microsoft was working on one or like in the testing field for one, which is probably not a shock. I'm sure like there's a lot of things get tested on. I'm sure there's like a million prototypes of things that just we never hear about, never see the light of day. But he'd actually openly talk about the fact that they are indeed testing one out, working on one. But he said that it is if it were to happen, it would be years away. So obviously we see that like Steam Decks and ROG Allies and PlayStation Portals and Switch and everything like that. Like obviously, it's a growing it's a growing part of video games. So I don't know, Gables, kind of what's your idea and thoughts of potentially having an Xbox handheld?
To be honest with you, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised about it, only because Microsoft really does want to have its own separate device or something without having to license certain stuff or put something on like a different platform if they themselves want to completely get people to buy into that stuff, even though they're phoning in the moniker. It's like, okay, well, this is an Xbox. Like your TV's an Xbox. It's like your freaking tablet's an Xbox. Your phone's an Xbox. You're like,
that's
so on and so
box.
forth. I know. And then that's a litter box. Like, such a random, stupid thing, It's almost
fun. It's dumb.
I know.
When you like, it's one of those things where like I don't know, man. It's like I see a lot of people getting mad about it. I'm like, man, this is fucking video games. Like, let's have some goddamn fun.
It's almost comparable as like TV.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's honestly, I think it's like it's cheesy and it's corny, but I don't know. It's like I think it kind of like it's actually pretty smart. I think it's good for like yeah, to us it's like, yeah, we already like it's like thing you push all the time, but it's like I think for most people, like, yeah, it's a smart idea because like it's Phil Spencer's been talking about for a long time now. He doesn't
Yep.
like obviously they prefer to sell you the actual Xbox console itself, but like to them, like Phil Spencer's talked over and over again about he wants you in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yep.
More, like it's just as important as you buying an Xbox.
Absolutely. And because of that, that's why that Microsoft as a company has put the Xbox service on all sorts of different devices and stuff. And part of that, reason that I feel like that they will probably have some form of a handheld soon is because it's just another thing to get people really excited upon, like maybe Microsoft's version of a Steam Deck or Microsoft's version of, like, say, a ROG Ally or whatever, to where it's like there's specific types of things only that system can do, and they can put any type of buzzwords or any type of, like, various ray tracing or whatever the hell. I think I think at this point, people are sort of fantasizing like a handheld to be like just absolute complete powerhouse to where it is doing the 4K stuff, it's doing the ray tracing stuff. It's like 120 hertz and stuff like that. It's pretty much what people, some people are looking forward to in terms of, like, say, handheld stuff on the go. I mean, the Steam Deck does a fantastic job in terms of what it is doing, where you have your entire Steam library that you've downloaded and stuff, and you can play that on the go. It has its own separate storage stuff, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Microsoft does with their own type of, like, handheld, though. I mean, it's definitely something that they've been tossing around for a while, but it's like actually seeing it in fruition. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. I don't know if people like, are expecting like the 4K, 120, and all that. Like, I feel like, I mean, maybe there's some people out there, but like, I feel like that at a certain point, that's like on you for not doing your research. As far as like,
Right.
if you're looking at buying one of these things, like I know people like that bought the PlayStation Portal, and it's like they're kind of mad to find out it's more of a cloud system than it is um, than an actual like what you think a Steam Deck is or a Switch is.
Yep.
But it's like, I don't know, if I'm dropping that much money on something, I'm gonna do some I'm gonna do some investigation on like what this is exactly. So like I'm looking at this more like, yeah, like kind of like a Switch or kind of like a Steam Deck where it's like, cool, I can like download the games onto this platform and play it wherever I want, like, and that's kind of like I've talked about, like the PlayStation Portal would be like something. If it was that, I probably would, for $200, I probably would have bought one just because, yeah, it'd be great to
Hmm.
like, when I'm at work, I'm on my lunch break, I'm sitting in the truck by myself. Yeah, I could pull out, play a game of Madden, or maybe do some grinding and like whatever, like uh make like big RPG game I'm playing at that point in time. Um, yeah, so
That's why
like,
it's kind of a missed opportunity I kind of felt with PlayStation, that even though they released that PlayStation like Portal and stuff like that, I mean, that was a chance where they could have just did their own version of the Steam Deck and stuff, just have it downloaded on the system and then just play PS5 on the go without any type of
yeah,
connection or any type of issue.
yeah, I think that's coming. It seems like like the Portal is like one of the better selling um what's the accessories every year. It's like it's been number one
Mm.
every month it's been since it's come out. So like it seems like
Huh,
it's
that's
selling.
surprising.
Yeah, it's selling out, and like people are buying it as it pops up. So I think it's like,
Mm.
but I never really consider that thing to be like a huge seller. I figure that's like probably something like if they sell a couple million, that's probably considered a win for them. We obviously don't know how many it's sold, but I mean, I don't know. It feels like it's probably more popular than what we thought it would be. Um, I don't know. I look, I kind of like this idea. I kind of like. I mean, I want this to happen. Like as long as it's affordable and it's like like Steam Decks are kind of pricey. They're a few $100, but it's also like it's kind of like what I look at, like we talk about the PS5 Pro, where it's like that is not for like the masses. That is for like the hardcore. And I feel like this is gonna be the same thing for that, where people want to buy, if the PlayStation handheld comes out where it is closer to a Switch or a Steam Deck. Like I don't think that's gonna be like a gigantic seller either, but I think that's gonna be like a nice little companion piece for a lot of people. That's not gonna be like the main, like most people aren't gonna just buy I feel like most people aren't gonna just buy the Xbox handheld and not buy the next Xbox. They're gonna buy both probably, if anything. Same thing with like PS6 and the next one. Um,
Mm.
but I'm hoping for this. I kind of like the future of this idea. Like as long as like obviously like affordability is a big part of that too as well. But I don't know. Like I'm excited for it. And
Mm.
like yeah, like I've had the prediction a while ago that I think instead of them doing like a Series S and X next time around, they might just do like, here's the base console, and then if you want a cheaper way to get in, here's the handheld. And or if you want to do both, you can do those as well. And that's my prediction. Like maybe they do like a dock type thing where you can like kind of with the Steam Deck where you can buy the dock and plug it into your TV that way. And it's just like, hey, it's a it's a less powerful version of the Xbox.
That's kind of like what I'm really wanting now from like every major gaming publisher, in terms of like either it be from Nintendo or from like Microsoft or Sony or something like that. If everything just starts becoming like, say, what the catalyst from what what Nintendo did with their Switch and stuff like that, I mean, I'm all kind of for that, because it's like, even if I get the full experience at home and stuff, and just take just take a little thing off the dock and stuff, and just play like in bed, or just play it like in the living room, or just play it like wherever the hell I feel like and stuff. That's such an appealing thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And even like it's kind of the same thing that people have been doing with handheld gaming for like years. And even with, say, like the cell phones and stuff, you want to play something while you're waiting in line for something. You want to play something like during your breaks or whatever. It just makes it much more interesting, and also makes it much more easier just to enjoy your content without having to go through the whole rigmarole of just being in one spot playing a game that you really like, obviously, but without a lot of the various issues of just, oh, I can only play it just this one spot in this one thing, where I could just go wherever I go and just game wherever I can.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I think this is like the way too of like, I feel like a lot of just, and this is like an entertainment issue across the board, where movies and TV shows, stuff like that, we talk about all the time. There's more content than ever, and we're more spread out than ever as far as like, people like, there's shows out there that are winning like awards, that like a bunch of awards on like, they're on like Apple TV, that are like, they've been on for 4 seasons. I'm like, I've never heard of this fucking show. Like, but it's like
Yep.
extremely popular. It's really high rated, and it's just like, holy shit. Like, I've never heard of the show. But it's like, that's happening all the time with video games, same thing, and movies, same thing. That like, the big issue right now is like this newer like the generation after us, like even after my sister's 24, even like kind of her generation and younger, where it's just like, most people are like, some of the biggest games are like, like think of like Fortnite and Call of Duty and stuff like that. They're also on your cell phone. There's stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
So people like,
they're everywhere.
yeah, and but it's also like, TikTok, everything like that. But it's like, most people are paying attention on the phone. They want to be able to do things on the go. Want to be able to do whatever they can. So I think like this is like a good way of like also trying, like, people are like trying to find a way to like, the 18 to 34 demographic is the most important demographic to everybody out there, because of the people that have the expendable income, because they're younger, they have less responsibilities typically, they don't have kids, whatever, maybe they're married, maybe they're not married, whatever, and they're like desperately trying to find a way to get that generation. And I feel like, I think doing handhelds is a good way to get those in, like get them in there. So like, hey, you could play Fortnite on this thing, but also here's all a bunch of other shit you could play on it too. And like with Xbox, it's like, hey, here's fucking Game Pass for, $20 a month, whatever, I don't know, $18, I don't know what it is anymore at this point. But it's like, hey, like you can play Fortnite on this thing for free, and also here's a bunch of other games for for a small monthly fee. So I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited for like the potential future of like, yeah, like especially I'm someone that's gonna want to buy the console still, but like but I'm also the type of person that, price pending, obviously, would be interested in potentially buying the companion, the handheld thing to go with it. All right, that's all the news really for this week. Like I said, next week we'll be doing the nominees and stuff like that. We'll be going through those one by one. So Gables, I want you to go through and find out, do all the research you can on esports. I want you to come back with a dedicated. I want you to, after we get the nominees, tell me who the esports coach of the year is. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's Gables. That's your one job for next week. I want you to, when we get the nominees, I want you to do some really. I want you to spend, instead of playing fantasy football and try and make trades happen. I want no Vampire Survivors. I'm banning you from Vampire Survivors. I'm banning you from Balatro. I want all the information on each individual team, player, and coach of esports. We're gonna nail those picks and predictions.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Gables, we're gonna go what we've been playing. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first, buddy?
I want you to go first because I'm curious what you've played this week.
All right. Yeah, I've only been really playing one game this week. And I kind of talked about a couple weeks ago. I've been playing more of it. I am 55 hours into Dragon Age The Veilguard. So I feel like that might be wrong though, because like I do put my Xbox. I'm playing on Xbox. I put it in sleep sometimes, and I feel like sometimes I'll like. I've had issues in the past where like I put it to sleep, but like the in-game clock doesn't stop going. So like I with Persona 3 Reload earlier this year, like I put it in sleep mode, went to bed, and I woke up next morning, popped it back on. But like it's kind of like 12 hours, whatever the time difference was. So I don't know if that's I don't know if maybe that's off a little bit for that one, but like that's like the save time actually in the menu, not like on the Xbox itself. So I don't know. Anyways, it's like I love like I feel like every game should have that. Like I want to know how much time I'm putting into a game. But so it's like a little pet peeve of mine that when games don't have that, especially like big, huge like games like this. But yeah, so I'm 55 hours in, and I am still having a really, really great time with this game. Like, I'm not like I'm still not gonna sit there and say like, oh, this like I'm not saying this is peak Bioware. I don't think that's the case. I still feel like the peak Bioware is like Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, 3/4, 3/4 of Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age: The Origins. But I'm having a really great time with this. I'm really liking the story. I'm liking the characters. I'm liking the world. Like everything about it. Like the gameplay is like getting. I'm getting. I'm trying. Damn it! I totally lost what I was gonna say here. Sorry. New medication. Is throwing off my focus. Um, the gameplay is getting deeper, and I'm trying to. I'm definitely like. Like when you get to a game, you're just throwing shit out there and seeing like what kind of works for like your combination, like what abilities I want to use and stuff like that. I'm finally like fine tuning those in, and like the nice thing is too is like you can build out your skill tree, but you can also refund those skills. So if you like, all right, cool, I want to like unlock this ability, or I want to like focus on this build, you can undo those if you don't like them. And I love that. I love that games do that. It's an option. I think every game should do that. And I feel like most games do that nowadays. And I finally like I got this really cool like build of like using fire abilities with like kind of like a poison build at the same time, so I can like do poison damage and fire damage at the same time. And also like I have like the really cool like Spartan kick that I can do, and like I like build up my meter and do the Spartan kick ability and like knock people off the fucking ledges. I've done that with like some like really hard enemies, like where they got like multiple fucking like life bars. I'm like, fuck this. And I just kick them off the fucking edge and they go flying and kill them. That's pretty awesome. I got like I got the like the Captain American shield where like I can throw it and it hits people, but also like I've upgraded it to like I can like if I hold it long enough it'll charge, and like I can like turn it into like an explosion. So like when it hits something it explodes. It does like an area effect damage, and like also I can like have it like if I like time it just right when it hits somebody, it will like ricochet and bounce off and hit somebody else. So like I'm having a really cool time with like building out this and like finding like and jumping in like with like I finally got all the party together. So I think there's six or I can't remember if there's 6 or 7 people in your party, but I got all of them finally. So yeah, like I think I'm on like chapter 10 now. But like I've been going around doing everything like
yeah.
So like I've been doing all the side quests that pop up, and the side quests are pretty good. Like some of them obviously are like they're like the run of the mill, like go here and like go pick up this item. Some are really cool. Like there's like one I did today where it was like like a big attack happened in like this one area, and like you have to like okay, let me back up. There's a really cool part in the game where like you have to make earlier in the game where you have to make a decision, and like like there's like major things going on in 2 different areas. You gotta pick one area and save one area, and then the other area like it's kind of fucked up the rest of the game. So it also like it splits off like the side quests. Like there's like certain side quests you won't see because like the things that change in this area for the rest of the game. And also,
Oh, I see.
what's
So
really
it's like the Witcher 3 kind of perspective.
yeah, exactly. And like what's really cool too was uh like there's like because like it's supposed to like there's like these 2 different companions of yours is like their home like basically like their homes, and because of one area I picked, it's kind of like the other guy. He's like he doesn't hate me, but like we're in like kind of a weird rough patch, and I can like kind of like piss him off and like it's kind of like we're now in like a weird limbo space where he's kind of mad at me because I picked the other person's area over his. So like we're like I can like either like fuck this guy and like through like conversations later on like get over it kind of be, or like try to like hey like massage this issue. But what's really cool now is like his like each individual character has their own skill trees, and you can upgrade their abilities and stuff like that. Like now there are certain abilities in the skill tree that I cannot upgrade, or I can't pick those ones at all in this. I don't know, maybe I could fix it later, but I can't. There's like certain that are just completely shut off to me now because of the decision I made, which is kind of cool. Like the idea of like this actually like goes like there are more to it than like okay, well this person like all right, well he's a little mad at me, but I'll get over it. Like there actually are like effects to that, but I thought it was really cool. But like yeah, anyways, some of the side quests I'm doing with this like the area that's kind of fucked up now is like I did one where it's just like it's like it's pretty cool. It's like just it's sad, but it's like they're cool stories of like going around and like dealing with like you're seeing the effects of like what this did, or like of kind of like abandoning this area, and just like it's kind of like just like going around helping people try to like get shit back together, like trying to get resources for people. And there's like one really sad one where it was like hey, like my mentor, like who's been training me, and he's like the town healer, is like this, like he went out to go get resources and he disappeared, and then you go to his home to go find him to like go get the resources, and you find out like his wife was sick, and he went to go out get the resources for his wife, and while he died while doing this, and then you find his wife, because he wasn't able to go back get the resources, his wife died, and all this is because of the decisions I made earlier in the game. It was kind of like interesting, just like how crazy like some of the shit can get, like just based off your decisions of like everything I said. So that's really cool. Like it's definitely not as like I wouldn't say there's not as many like big huge like art like story like dividing things that can happen like as you would see like maybe in past like BioWare games. Like it's more so like I don't know, like you make it like obviously like you can affect the relationships with the people in your group, and make you can like each individual area of the game you can like build relationships based off of like doing side quests for them, finding things, unlocking areas, helping them out, and that will like improve your relationships with each individual groups. But like there's not like huge like there's not like I haven't so far I haven't like there hasn't been as many like big huge like okay you gotta pick this, like there's not like do I want like in Mass Effect 1 where like do you want to sacrifice this whole alien species or save them. Like so far I haven't seen anything with like Caden or Ashley. Like there has been several of those moments, but there's been one or two. So I feel like there's less of those, but they've been pretty impactful overall. So I've been really liking this. I'm liking the characters a lot. Like I enjoy like just the interactions of like with the characters and like them having conversations and learning more about their background. I like you can like buy gifts like at certain shops and go there, and like you'll kind of like improve your relationship with them. And as you improve relationships with those characters, you'll do like it's not like there are like some bigger missions, like kind of like what's the loyalty missions, is that what they call in Mass Effect 2?
Yeah,
loyalty missions. There are like instead of like there hasn't been like I wouldn't say on the level of some of those like really really great loyalty missions, but there have been more smaller missions what you can do with some of these characters. Some are like literally you just go have a conversation with them. Like you go somewhere, you go to their home, and like you learn more about their family, about their parents, or like their upbringing, or like some are like one of them like was a full-fledged like 45-minute long mission. Some are like literally like a 2-3 minute cutscene. But like like I said, like improving them, and like obviously you can romance them and stuff like that. So I'm definitely Balara is my girl. I'm trying to romance her. She is an elf. So but yeah, I'm really liking the story. I'm liking the gameplay quite a bit. I would compare the gameplay closer to like I've heard some people say God of War. I say it's closer. If you play Final Fantasy 16 last year, I feel like it's closer to like a Final Fantasy 16. But yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. I'm liking the characters. I like one of the things I'm really liking, surprisingly, is one of the characters, Emmerich, is a necromancer, I believe is how you pronounce it. I don't play Diablo. I've never dealt with the game that I can remember having one. I don't believe Dragon Age have in the past, but like he controls like basically like, he doesn't fight. He like brings up dead people to do the fighting for him. So like I was like I've never played Diablo before. I know that's a popular class for people, but I've never like I don't play Diablo. I don't know too much about that one, but like I really like him a lot, and like he's got like a really cool like a little like skeleton like little guy that falls around like a skeleton creature. That's kind of like he uses like it's kind of like his like does everything for him, almost like his butler, and like he's kind of like the comic relief of the game though as well. So like it's just kind of funny. Like you can go find him like when you like your home base. You go walk around. You see his name is Fred. You go around like you can go interact with him, and every time you interact with him, you do rock paper scissors, and like like when you beat him, he reacts to it. He's very funny. I like him. And also one of the characters, Davrin. I keep wanting to say Darvin. It's Davrin. He's got a griffin. He's got like the last known griffin in the world, known world, and like it's kind of like it's kind of cool. You can. The more like I've been really kind of like trying to like get in the good graces with him, not because I give a shit about Davrin, because I want so I keep wanting interacting with the griffin. He's fucking adorable, okay? And every time you see him, I can go pet him and I can give him hugs. And I love the little fucker, okay? His name is Hassan. He's a beautiful boy, and I want to know more about him. So yeah, so I'm really liking this game. I don't know if it's like gonna end up being like, I don't know if it's like game of the year contender for me. I don't know if it's gonna be like, I don't think it's gonna be it's gonna be my game in there unless it goes crazy ham in the last section of the game. But like I'm having a good like stuff. 55 hours into it. And I was a little concerned because like I do this a lot with these type of games where I go like crazy and doing everything early in the game, and then I get like after like a certain point hit a wall, or like, all right, I'm ready to this game fucking over with, but then you got like 15 more hours of storyline to get through, and like goddamn, kind of like like there's been games like Final Fantasy Rebirth with earlier this year, like especially where it's just like, all right, I'm like 60 hours in this goddamn game, I want to get done with it, but I still got like 20 more hours of fucking game to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't hit that yet, which is good, but I don't know if it might come. I don't know. And also there's like a little bit of like, okay, I want to get, there's another gigantic game in Metaphor I have staring at me. I just picked up this week, so yeah, I want to get into that one because I want to try to get Metaphor. I'm hoping to get this game done, and then Metaphor, and then I think the only really other big game coming out this year is Indiana Jones. The rest of the year for me, so I think those are like the last few games I want to beat before the end of the year. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. What about you, Gables?
So I've been playing quite a few games and stuff. Obviously, the one game that you provided to me that we got from the developers here. This is a game called like Rico de Rico.
Nikoderiko.
No, Nico. That's so funny. Nikoderiko. Oh, Rico.
Rico Suave?
Well, oh God. So for this game and stuff, this has a couple of the people that did help create the original Donkey Kong series, the Donkey Kong Country games. It actually has the same composer for those games, David Wise. And let me just say this game is definitely aimed towards like younger audience, like younger kids and stuff, because the characters themselves are like, what is it, like cat-like creatures or something of that sort. No, they're like not cat-like, mongooses.
Okay.
That's what they are. So you have two mongoose-like creatures, you know, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth and stuff. The gameplay, the music. Okay, the music's fine with this game, but the gameplay, the level design, and like certain aspects of what you're doing and collecting inside this games are really reminiscent of the Donkey Kong Country games in general. So much so that it's blatantly obvious, and also to the point where you're also collecting letters inside of this
Yeah.
game. Instead of spelling out Kong, you're spelling up like Nico. But what I do like about this game, it's like I haven't ran across. I spent like close to an hour playing this right on the Series X. I didn't come across any type of major like glitch hitches or anything of that sort. I didn't experiment in terms of trying to get out of levels or like whatever. But what I did discover is the game does have some tight gameplay. It definitely like has the same type of aspects that you would expect from like a Donkey Kong Country style of game, to where it's not only the collectibles and stuff. There's the same things that you would get like for Kong letters or like with bananas or whatsoever. There's also bonus rooms that have the similar exact type of things that you would do for Donkey Kong, like destroy all the enemies or collect all the collect all the stars, or like like just find these collect these certain symbols and stuff, and all of a sudden that thing will go through. It's a collectathon little platformer and stuff, but it does have two separate difficulties. You can do like a casual mode or something, and then you can do a normal mode. I did normal mode because I kind of wanted to see how difficult the game actually would get. And quite honestly, from the hour and stuff, it's kind of the difficulty of it hasn't really been too much of a factor so far. I think I've gone through most of like the first initial world of this game and stuff. Like basically throughout the entire time that I have played through this game, I can understand where they're going from. It definitely is good to some extent though, but it makes me really just want to play Donkey Kong Country, because this is that one core aspect to where you're playing a specific game, it's familiar, it does these things, the same thing that you played of another game, but yet it's in such a way, and it's so like obviously in your face that you want to just go back and play the original game, right? So it's like throughout this thing, it's like, well, this feels like the Diet Coke version of Donkey Kong Country. Only obviously there was a lot more time and effort put into it in terms of like the look of the characters, the look of the levels and stuff. And I've only played like what I said before, like the first hour or some of this game. It is a co-op experience, right? So kind of like with the class with those style of games and stuff, you can switch between characters and stuff if you choose to at certain points, or you can play like with two people at the same time and stuff, and try to collect all this stuff inside the levels. But I don't think it's bad. It definitely did give the expression of it being like a terrible game or something. This just feels like so far like an average sort of like platformer in that case and scenario. But it's super early. I may give it like another shot and stuff, bearing what other type of games that I'm going to be playing over the next week, over the next like week. But there were a couple other games I did have a chance to try. I did start up Sonic X Shadow Generations. That one I actually played like a little over an hour for as well. What's funny, this past Tuesday and Wednesday, I decided, okay, I'm gonna try out a bunch of these different games and stuff that I have like gotten here. So that was the next one. I played a bit of it. I the game itself doesn't give the impression it's going to last like too long for the main like campaign stuff. I actually looked inside of how long to beat like the how long to beat this particular game in terms of this. It has it for like 5.5 hours or so. So it's kind of like the same length as like an average like Sonic the Hedgehog game. I will say though, there are some pretty creative type of stuff. You have the aspect to where you can either play as classic Sonic or like Sonic, like the 3D games, like Sonic Adventure, this and that. But you can switch between the two and tackle the same different types of levels. And the early levels are based upon like from classic stages from say the original Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Or there are like the shadow aspect of it to where you get to tackle certain things from say the best versions of like Sonic 06 and like Shadow the Hedgehog and this and that. It's
But
I haven't delved into like that realm yet because I kind of want to finish what the Sonic generation stuff or like just Sonic stuff right now before delving into the whole aspect of that stuff. But
before I got sorry, cut you off. I gotta ask. By the best version, the best of Sonic 06, do you mean like you get like Sonic gets to kiss a girl, like a human girl?
no, this is particularly just shadow related and it's just delving with specific type of bosses that were from that initial game that, Shadow had a chance to go through and
Are you talking about the dolphin?
no. I'm
Go on.
not talking about Echo the Dolphin. Oh my god. Yeah, it's getting late. I'm starting to hallucinate. Anyway, the gameplay's pretty tight. It's not too bad. It's not too difficult either in terms of getting like A or S rank. I mean, basically you have to completely like just like not collect anything and just keep constantly dying in order to get like a D or an F rank inside of these things. Now, granted, this is like the first initial spot where a lot of the stuff I had to go through and complete, but it's fun. I mean, the stages don't last for too long. They don't overstay their welcome. Like I said, you could switch between perspectives. Like you could finish the stage originally as the original Sonic the Hedgehog, and then once that, you could press like the Y button or whatever, or the triangle button, switch between the two, do it in a 3D perspective. And so the first stage is kind of like Green Hill Zone, and the second's like Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2, and like so on and so forth. It's definitely enjoyable, but I just need to delve a little bit more to get like an overall feel of the full on experience. Like I said, I still need to try the Shadow the Hedgehog portion of it too, because yeah, that's kind of like the whole appeal. That's like the new content of this stuff. It's like they heavily advertise the Shadow the Hedgehog stuff. I'm just really just curious to see how the actual quality of it is. But the other game I did have a chance to play, which I did mention earlier, I did play roughly a little bit over a couple of hours of Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong, I got it digitally on the PS5 like a while ago. Just hadn't really had a chance to or inkling to start it up until now. The first initial part of this game and stuff, you have the cinematic opening and stuff like that. You're thrusted into the middle of this big old combat and stuff where you have these giants that are kind of overlooking everything and stuff and are basically going to level like a Sun Wukong's mountain and stuff like that. And basically here you are, you just go, you face off against these beings and stuff, and you get into this big old battle with this one like imperial looking dude and stuff like that. And that this is how they go through with a tutorial without actually saying it's a tutorial, because it's like there's not like a lot of hidden texts or something like that, or you have to do step by step in terms of that one opening scene. It's just straight up action. And quite honestly, that combined with a lot of the cinematic stuff that happens like in the middle of that stuff, it actually makes it feel a bit more epic in terms of that scale because say it doesn't just say like make you wait like about an hour or some until action or some initial important stuff happens. It just goes off and just goes right off the bat. And then once that initial thing is done, you just thrust it into the certain area where you have to figure out like how you get to level up certain things, like for a bunch of your skill trees, right? And so you can do different stances. You can have like different types of like upgrades you can do from the basic stuff like health, stamina, like magic stuff. I mean, there are some aspects to where it's kind of similar to Dark Souls in a bit, but it's more kind of like action oriented more so than it is RPG. So you can technically say upgrade certain skill trees and stuff and like have all these different types of abilities and this and that, and not more or less just stay at a bonfire and stuff like that and just use experience to different types of stats, and then just every enemy resets as soon as you like go to a save point. Now, granted, for this game, if you do want to earn like a whole bunch of things to level up and stuff, you can initially do that. But those skill points are not used for like incremental little upgrades or something. They're just used just to unlock certain things with skill trees. So, for example, if you collected like 3 skill points for basic, like leveling up like 3 times or whatsoever, you can use it to unlock a thing to where you could use your staff. It's kind of like a whirling type of thing, like hold L2 or something. And when you face off against an enemy that has projectiles, you can just do like a twirling motion with your staff and stuff. And so you can just repel a bunch of different projectiles and this and that. I have no issue with the combat of it. I mean, it feels really good in motion to where you're basically going through and it's fast, it's fluid. I haven't come across hardly any types of graphical issues and stuff. Obviously, there's been a couple updates since its initial release on the PlayStation 5 and stuff, so it's like there have been some core aspects of it that have been upgraded. And quite honestly, from the time I've played of it, I have enjoyed it. I just need to get out of that initial like area in the forest where I'm at and stuff because I'm kind of stuck a little bit in what I needed to do next. But yeah, there are definitely certain things about this game that I am liking so far. But it's kind of like with some of the other stuff. I just need to put a little bit more time into it. But of course, the last thing I did initially do and play this week is a little bit more of the Pokemon TCGP on my phone and stuff. It's still given that same sort of like itch and stuff to where I want to go ahead and open packs and stuff. And I haven't put any type of cash into this damn thing still. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment just doing the random openings of packs. I have started playing against people online through my phone. I have won a couple different matches with the cards I do have. And I think I've at least actually beaten one person that has spent money to go through and get a lot of the different cards inside their deck. But what I will say is the different types of things that you use for like battling solo and stuff, what they have listed in terms of like the beginner battles, the intermediate, the expert battles, the master battle stuff, it's difficult enough to where even if you don't have the certain cards or something like that, you could just go through and repeat it and unlock certain categories, and then eventually you can go through and earn stuff to where you can get certain cards, reconstruct your decks and stuff. Me learning the ins and outs of how to construct a good Pokemon deck and using the right trainer cards and stuff and using the right combination of, okay, maybe I should go through and like pair off this Moltres X because it has a attack that literally lets you flip a coin like 3 different times, and then if it lands on heads, I can distribute fire energy to the different types of Pokemon on my bench. So what this CPU likes to do when you go into the expert type of thing, when you're going against a Charizard X deck, is it'll start off with Moltres X, right? And so you go through your settings, and then finally, when the opponent puts like a fire energy on it, the opponent will already have a Charmander and a Growlithe and stuff. And depending upon how many heads it gets, all that energy gets placed upon the different Pokemon on their bench. So there have been times where the Moltres has flipped and gotten 3 straight heads, and it's literally has gone to all of it on a Charmander, and of course that eventually goes into Charizard and stuff, and I get instantly like wiped. I literally had to repeat that same battle like about 3 or 4 different times until I'm like, okay, I have my water deck set. I have my Lapras X that I have that I have freaking earned through competing like the in-game event stuff that's going around right now. And I used a combination of that plus the Articuno X that I randomly pulled through chance, and I used the Articuno X as like the setting of like a counteract for Moltres X to where even if the Moltres does the support for the bench of the opponent here, I got a lot of energy to where I had my Articuno like attack for like about 80 damage. It did 10 separate damage to the Pokemon on the opponent's bench. So that's important because I like to time that with the synergy of another Pokemon, Braxis. And this is a Pokemon that's like it's that fish from like Generation 7, right? So it's like its attack is it does like about an additional like 70 damage or something if the Pokemon's already hurt. So basically using the combination of that, doing all the damage across all of his Pokemon, then once like I switch it out into Articuno stuff and just finish off the Moltres X. Every time you finish off a an X style of Pokemon card, it automatically awards you 2 points out of the 3. So for each match, you win by basically getting 3 points. So you have to defeat like 3 separate Pokemon unless you face off against an X Pokemon that gives you 2 points. So you could literally finish a matchup in like 2 turns and stuff like that once your Pokemon are all set and everything else. But what I do like about this Pokemon game stuff so far is even if you draw all the cards in your deck, you don't deck out. You basically have to play until one of the opponents gets 3 points. And I've been enjoying some aspects of that. I've also enjoyed pulling the random Pokemon cards still. Like I got a Mewtwo X yesterday randomly from like the Mewtwo pack, and I'm like, okay, what's the percentage of me drawing this? And it's like it's literally 0.33. So it's like literally half of it's like literally like God.
It's like a
Obviously it's
one
below
in 300
1%.
chance.
Like 1 in 300 chance of drawing that card and stuff like that. And there are moments where that can happen or where it makes you feel really good. There was one time I drew a card, I opened a pack and I got not one but 2 separate Pokemon X cards, a Marowak and a Gengar. Like, and obviously since it's like 0.33% of drawing that, it's like it's even lower drawing some of that. And there's even people that have not spent any money at all, open their daily pack, and it's an all god card. It's like an all god pack. It's hollow foil after hollow foil after hollow foil. That has a chance of happening. And I think Nintendo has done a good job in terms of letting people know, hey, you don't have to spend money on this. Here are the offerings of like how these cards are, like what's the percentage wise. And even if you open a bunch of different packs with a free method, you collect so many different like pack points that you can use to get individual cards. So you're not having to just spend and put in so much money in order to get the initial cards that you want to do for like a deck. But obviously, there is a subscription thing if you choose to do it to where you can get a whole bunch of different things all at once. And it's going to completely, oversaturate what you're going to go through and do and stuff. But I'm still of the mind that I don't ever want to put money into this game. But I'm just enjoying how fun the TCG stuff is and how much fun I'm having through opening Pokemon cards and then just doing it that way, that I don't necessarily need to spend any fucking money on it. It's a free Pokemon TCG game, so I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, well, that's
But
good.
that's it. That's pretty much what I've been playing this week.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this and liking all this. I hope you guys, like I said, top of the show, like, follow, subscribe, check us out. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, um, Apple Podcast, Spotify, pretty much any podcast service out there. We are available on them. So the best way to help us out is by liking, following, subscribing, 5-star reviews. Anything you can do to help us out, share with your friends, tell your friends. Like I said, we don't make money off this. We do it because it's fun. And it's pretty much it. We like video games and we like talking about them. So yeah, like, if you can support us anyway, that is the best way to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I was an Xbox.
And I have been a PlayStation.
Wow. Wow.
I'm serious, guys. Thank you very much for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Nerds Podcast.
Surprised you're not fucking Sega Saturn.
Well, it could be a Wii U, but I choose not to be.
That's fair. That's fair. Bye, guys.
See ya.